And welcome back. Here we are to recap the Women's NCAA Outdoor Championship that took place this past weekend. We had a lot of great performances, two NCAA records, a very dominant team performance, some impressive performances to talk about. And here we are, we're going to recap them. We're going to start with the shortest event on the track to the event with the longest distance, and then we'll jump into the field area. So getting started right away, talk about the women's 100. You had Samira Moody of USC run away with it. Not really run away with it, but get out of the blocks the best and maintain form against an incredibly fast field, even into a headwind. No sub 11-second performance. It took 11-1, but again, it was into a negative headwind. And USC winning the 100. That was one of the highlights for them this weekend because they had an impressive sprint group. I think we all kind of expected for them to do this well. They may have not had all the pieces that they have wanted to perform at that level, but let's just give credit to where credit's due. What an impressive performance by this young woman because she's been kind of the outside looking in when it comes to the great 100-meter runners in the country. And it was really her teammate, Deja DeFriend, who we thought would be in this position. But Samira Moody winning it. And she burst onto the scene as a freshman, and she's done well under Coach Goodman, who now has a couple of NCAA champions in the 100. Is he the best to do it? I don't know, because he's proven to be, as of late, maybe the top guy. But Samira Moody, way to run. Hats off to her. And she also has another NCAA title we'll talk about in a moment. In the 200, you had Jamesia Ford of South Carolina, and it is Jamesia, not Jamesia, so my apologies for mispronouncing her name all those years wrong, but it's Jamesia Ford of South Carolina. She had an impressive weekend. And if you saw that 200, you were concerned like I was, because at the end of it, it's clear that she may have tweaked something. There was a slight discomfort. She did run 22:21 to win it, but she did run a 21:98 in the semis, and she looked comfortable easing up in that. And I thought if she did not have such a heavy load, running both the 100, 200, and the 4x1 and the 4x4, that's way too much, especially for the amount of running she does. That just was too much, I believe, for her body. And it showed, but she still was able to hang on and win a national title. She now has an indoor title from last year and an outdoor title. So we've already got two national titles in her trophy case, and we'll see what she can do. Because before that injury, I was convinced that she was going to make Team USA in the 200. Now, was she going to medal at this year's World Championship? Probably not, because the workload for collegiate athletes is so heavy. But luckily, this year, the outdoor championships are later in the year. They're in September in Tokyo, obviously, because Tokyo has such a hot summer. Now, moving to the 400, we have Aaliyah Butler of Georgia. And so far for me, that's two out of three. So I'm happy with that. Aaliyah Butler of Georgia, 49:24, running a dominant 400-meter runner. She's been, so dominant this outdoor season. Pretty much unfazed by everyone. I think the only person that could possibly beat her is the one who beat her indoors, and that was Isabella Whitaker, who's having a great professional start to her career if you've been paying attention on social media and to the major headlines in the sport. But Leah Butler, 49:24 in the 400, one of the fastest times in NCAA history. And then her teammate, Dejanay Oakley, 49:65. So Georgia went 1-2, a huge 18 team points for the Bulldogs. But Aaliyah Butler followed her from her senior year at Miami Northwestern to now at Georgia. And it's the same script, just another championship performance for her. So I'm curious to see what she does, what she's going to be doing on the next level if she goes this year, if not next year, because she's already got an Olympic gold medal to her credit. And we'll talk later on as to why we may want to consider her for Team USA in the 4x4. But moving to the 100 hurdles, you have Aaliyah McCormick of Oregon. We thought it was going to be Habiba Harris, so I will take the L here. But, Habiba Harris injured herself running the anchor leg on Florida's 4x1. Um, but Leah McCormick did what needed to be done to win the 100 hurdles. When she ran that 12:7 at regionals, I think that was a time where people should have taken her even more serious. And that's even after she won the 100 hurdles in the Big Ten championship, and she did that in impressive fashion. But her time, 12.81 into a negative headwind, defeating Jaya Covington of Texas A&M, who won the 60 hurdles indoor. This was first time in a while that we've seen a hurdler for Oregon perform at this high level. So hats off to the coaching staff there at Oregon. An impressive win by her. Now moving to the 400 hurdles is where we had our first NCAA record, and that's Savannah Sutherland of the University of Michigan. She is no stranger to an NCAA title. She won the 400 hurdles in 2023, and here she is avenging her loss last year, but she did it running a 52.46, winning by over 2 seconds, setting a NCAA meet record and a collegiate record altogether. One of those classic old records that just keeps falling. And in this event that has seen so much changeover thanks to athletes like Delilah Muhammad, Sydney McLaughlin, and Famke Boyle, she's, I think, going to join them. That's also a Canadian national record. And we're going to be seeing her a lot on the professional stage. Is she a future Olympic gold medalist? Possibly. It remains to be seen. 52.46 is only bettered by Femke Boyle and Sydney McLaughlin. Lavrone. Make sure I get her full name. And we're going to see more of her. I have been impressed with her since the moment she arrived at Michigan. Hats off to their coaching staff. You know, you hear me saying that a lot today, but that's because some of these coaching staffs really put together great uh, plans for their athletes. And Michigan has, over the past couple of years, have had just such great hurdlers. Tiffany O'Feely, Cindy O'Feely, and now, and then you had Asia Lawrenson, and now you have Savannah Sutherland to join that legendary group. And she's not only a Big Ten champion, but a two-time NCAA champion, and someone we're going to see perform on the next level. In the 4x1, you had USC, and this is where Samira Moody got her second NCAA title, or really her first, because it happened first in 42-2 to 42-4 for South Carolina. So both USC schools, but only one true USC, and that's Southern Cal, uh, pulled off the win 42-22. Great performance. Samira Moody and all the ladies on that squad who ran such excellent uh, performances in that race. The handoffs, Team USA could learn from USC. Watch how they exchanged the baton. That was an impressive performance by them. And then in the 4x4, you had Georgia. And the reason why I told you about Aaliyah Butler possibly being considered for Team USA is not because she's already been on one. She already has, Olympic gold medal from being on the 4x4 last year, but it's because she split 48-7. Anytime you got an athlete running a 48 split, you got to include them on your 4x4 because that's hard to do. 48 and 47 splits are just impressive. And she had to do it walking down Rosie Effiong, who ran a 49-1. She didn't run a slouch split. Georgia got things started strong, having Dejanay run the pop off, and they just went ahead and closed the gap. Arkansas did with Sanu Jalu on the third leg, but Aaliyah Butler got the baton shortly behind Rosie Effiong and timed it perfect. Look like a 130 meters left. She just hammered her way past Rosie Effiong, who put up a valiant effort. And in a year where Arkansas does not look the same as they did last year, I'm sure they'll rebound. But impressive time by Georgia and performance by Aaliyah Butler. Now, moving to the 800, you have Royson Willis. Yes, it wasn't Michaela Rose, who I did expect to win it. Um, I would say if I'm the coaching staff at LSU, we probably have to rethink her. I would say her meet performance because this was a disappointment. She did not look the same in the finals as she did in the semifinals or in any other meet this year. She looked noticeably off. Um, but Royson Willis of Stanford, heads off to Coach J.J. Clark. How many NCAA champions is he going to coach in this event? He may be the GOAT, although Texas A&M is right now the GOAT school. But Coach J.J. Clark may be the GOAT at coaching women's 800 meters. This is another NCAA champion for him. He's done that when he was assistant at Florida, when he was the head coach at Tennessee, and now the head coach at Stanford. Just impressive at each location. And Rayson Willis, we've been waiting for her to do this, and we thought it would be her teammate Juliet Whitaker, but instead it's her. Juliet obviously out due to injury, but Rayson Willis holding it down for the Stanford Cardinal and leading a group 158-1, where there were five athletes under 2 minutes. Impressive performance in a great field. Then you have the 1500, and we have a surprise. Sophie O'Sullivan, um, the woman from Ireland. I really thought Margot Appleton was just going to dominate. And did share that she was my favorite going in, but Sophie O'Sullivan, the senior, timed it perfectly. And of Washington, did they just pull off the double, winning the men's and women's 1500? They did. And both Virginia athletes who I picked didn't do it. They both, unfortunately, were faulty in their performances. Margot Appleton 408.99 for second, and Sophie O'Sullivan 407.94, a personal best to win it all. And you see her with her tongue out of her mouth, the shock, the elation. I know. I just know that has to feel great because she ran a really smart race. She timed it perfectly when she made her move. It just almost felt like she caught Margot sleeping a little bit. Now, moving to the steeplechase, our next event, we have another NCAA record from Doris Lemengo. I think every time we talk about Doris and we're at an NCAA meet, we're talking about either an all-time performance or a new NCAA record. She becomes the first woman in collegiate history to go under 9 minutes, 8:58:15, winning against a strong field. Because Lexi Holiday Lowry, who finished second, ran a 9:08:68, impressive time. But that's a 10-second win, meaning she was literally at the finish line, and Lexi was kind of at the top of the 100 meter, just short, just a little bit past that. So dominant Doris ran that. Just she didn't look phased, and I think it was smarter for her to just do the one event. It worked really in her favor, and she was able to put more focus and emphasis on an event where she's just been incredible. She's represented Alabama well, and distance wise, Alabama has really been at an elite level over the past couple years, even when Coach Palmer moved on to Florida. The next event we're going to be talking about probably our meet MVP because she won both the 5K and the 10K, and that is Pamela Koskai of New Mexico. New Mexico had a very impressive weekend. Again, they improved. They proved that it does not matter who they're competing against, what school you're from. They're not at all phased by the names. They are very capable and they're very comfortable with proving to you that they're not only meant to be here, but they're going to beat you into submission. She ran phenomenal in both the 5K and 10K, but especially in the 5K because it just felt like she just was pushing that pace so hard. The past few laps, she just was fully like sprinting. I was like, is she running the 800 in like under 2 minutes after having run so much already? Great performances in both the 5K and the 10K. In the 5K, she ran 15:33:96. And I thought Grace Hartman was going to be able to close. If you saw that race, Grace was on her heel at about 250, 200 to go, but just did not have any gas in the tank to be able to hang with her. And the day before, or not the day, but 2 days before, in the 10K, she ran the collegiate leading time in a new meet record, 31:17:82. And she won that race by over almost 15 seconds. And the irony in that is that for a good portion of that 10K, Grace Hartman led, and I thought, oh, I don't know if Pamela's going to be able to keep up with her. And she made a smart move and just pushed it right along with Grace Hartman. And when she timed to make the move, she timed it right. And it just was too much for Grace to catch up. And Grace did finish second in the 10K, which I think is probably her better event. But Pamela Koske was impressive this weekend. She let the steeplechase go and decided she was going to dominate the 5 and 10K. 20 points for her alone. I believe the only athlete in the field to double. And what a difficult double she pulled off, but she did it. Now, moving to the field events, we'll get started with the jumps. And we're going to look at the high jump because it was someone I should have picked, and that's Alina Kulichenko. Alina has won this event so many times at the national level, but I doubted her again. So shame, 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 shame. I should not have done that. But here she is, uh, winning the high jump, and against I would say a really talented field because Rose Yaboa was not really phased by anybody. She held her own all the way through, but it took a 6'5" performance for Elena Kulichenko to win it, and Rose Yaboa was second in 6'4". So the top two athletes just really hammered in the high jump. And Alina, senior, sad to see her go, but she was a huge part of Georgia's team efforts. 10 big team points. Then the pole vault, another shocker. You had Hannah Mole, not Amanda, Hannah. One of the Mole sisters found a way to win it. She also set an NCAA record outdoors. So I should say our third record, excuse me, 15.8 and a half, 4.79 meters. Although her sister has jumped 16 feet out indoors, this is the outdoor record. And so both sisters now own the NCAA record indoor and out. And for Hannah, this is her second national title. She won indoors as a freshman, and now here she is as a sophomore winning outdoors and had the better meet than her sister did. Her sister looked a little off. That she finished third, and Chloe Timberg found a way to get second. I thought they were going to be a 1-2 punch. But Chloe Timberg just, to not be outdone. And moving to the long jump, you have Sinclair Savage. That's another shock. None of the predicted athletes, or at least my predicted athletes, in the jumps wound up winning. So that should let you know where we're going to go when we talk about the triple jump. But Sinclair Savage, and again, the weather wasn't the best, but doesn't matter. It's the same for everyone. She jumped 22 feet and 3/4 inches, and that is 6.72 meters. She found a way to win it. And Louisville has been really good with their jumps for the past few years. They have a pole vault NCAA champion, a couple of All Americans in the high jump, and now they have an NCAA champion in the long jump. The jumps at Louisville are jumping, and pretty sure we'll be talking about more about the Louisville athletes in years to come. But this senior, she's moving on, but moving on with an NCAA title. In the triple jump, Winnie B of Texas A&M. She was my favorite at the beginning of the season, but I felt a guard duel of Oklahoma was going to find a way to win, and I thought Oklahoma was going to have a sweep, but nope. Winnie B had other plans. She jumped 45 feet, 9 3/4 inches, is 13.96 meters. Not a personal best for her, didn't matter. It was enough for her to win the NCAA title. Agurdwal was third, 45 2 1/4. It was a deep field. Eighth place was 43 4 1/2. And quite a few athletes who could jump 43 did not jump 43. But this was a really, really tough field with not perfect conditions. So Winnie B putting up that type of performance, even when it looks like, oh my God, she may get past because Amelia Shostrand of San Jose State was coming, but no, Winnie B was just not to be denied her NCAA title. And moving to the shot put, Maya Lesnar, yes, thank God, some normalcy. No, I'm just kidding. I picked her to win, and I am happy to see that she won the NCAA title. She was dominant indoors a year ago, and when we got to outdoors, she kind of was outdone by Jada Ross of Oregon, but she avenged herself. She looked strong in all her throws this past weekend. Um, 62-foot throw, NCAA champion from Colorado State, Maya Lesnar. No surprise that she won by anyone. I think the field still put up a great fight against her, but just not enough to defeat her. 19.01 meters. Abria Smith of Illinois was a shock. We didn't even mention her as a contender, and she got second with 18.85 meters. 61, 10 and a quarter as a thrower. Moving to the hammer throw, you have Stephanie Radcliffe of Georgia, formerly of Harvard. And it's a big thing to talk about Stephanie because she won an NCAA title at Harvard. And here she is avenging that loss in another big win for Georgia. If you're counting, that's so far three individual titles for the Georgia Bulldogs. That's 30 points alone. But Stephanie Radcliffe winning the hammer throw. And this was also a really good field. And this was the first event of the women's outdoor championship. She's 234 feet 2 inches. That was a seasonal best for her in a collegiate lead, outdoing Shelby Frank of Texas Tech, who finished second. 234 feet 2 inches, 71.37 meters was the winning throw for Stephanie Radcliffe. Now moving to the next, I'll say, big throwing event. And the reason why I say big throwing, because it was another surprise here. Sierra Jackson of Fresno State. Never thought I would be saying Fresno State winning an NCAA title in a throwing event. They've had, pretty good history with some good runners. But here they are in the discus, Sierra Jackson. And it took a personal best, and Sierra Jackson won the discus early in the competition. 215 feet, 11 inches, 65.82 meters, an NCAA meet record. Yeah, Sierra Jackson is the one. And performances from 1 through 4. Those were all the four best throws at an NCAA championship meet ever. So Sierra Jackson was first of Fresno State. Aaliyah Von Dalen of Florida was second. Shelby Frank was third. And Kasia Marie Linforce of Cal was fourth. And they all were impressive, all over 200 feet. So shout out to you, Sierra Jackson, for finding a way to win, not only win, but breaking a meet record against an incredible field. In the javelin, um, another miss for me, you had Valentina Barrios Bonicelli of Missouri. Now, Missouri seems to always find a way to have an athlete in one of the many events perform at such a high clip, whether it's a field event or a running event. Um, but they now, this year, have had two NCAA champions. They had the men's triple jump champion indoors, now the women's javelin champion outdoors. And Miss Valentina had her hat on, her cowboy hat, and seemed to be unfazed by the great field she was competing against. Took her personal best throw, 203 feet 5 inches or 62 meters for her to pull it out. She did beat the favorite Manuela Rotunda of Georgia, who finished second with 198 feet. Georgia did get second and fourth in this event, so 13 team points for the Bulldogs in that event alone. And now moving to our very last event, you have the heptathlon, and it was Pippi Lotta Enoch. I thought it was going to be Jaden O'Brien. I did mention Pippi as a contender, but she certainly proved me wrong. And they were close. They battled throughout the meet. And when it came down to the final 800, I was a little concerned for Jaden. I said, unless she fully outdoes Pippi Lotta or Pippi just falters in the 800, just doesn't have it, Pippi's going to win it. And she did. Uh, and they both ran pretty good 800s. And that's saying something because Jaden O'Brien is a decent 800-meter runner. Um, really decent. She ran 2:12:42, and Pippi Lotta ran 2:14. If we're looking at who won the most events, the surprise is that Pippi Lotta didn't win any of her events. She just was in the top portion of every single event. And Jaden O'Brien did have two wins in the 100 hurdles and in the shot put, but she had an 11th in the high jump. And that seemed to just doom her because it was 6,285 points to 6,256 points. It was so close. 29 points separated them. So with just a better performance in the high jump, like probably if she just jumps maybe an inch or two higher, she wins this in meet outdoors. But that's the way it goes. NCAA championship, it's going to be close like that. And Pippi Lotta, what an impressive performance. What a way to end your junior year. Jaden O'Brien, you had an incredible collegiate career for Notre Dame. Looking forward to seeing what you do at the next level because I do think there is another level for you. Now, closing things out with the team title, it was, of course, Georgia. I mean, what a performance they had. All those wins, 73 points. And a lot of that came from the field events. And as you heard me say, the field events is where they picked up so many points. And they scored in the jumps, in the high jump and the triple jump. They scored in, I think, almost every throw that they could. And they scored well on the track. And that's even with a DQ in the 4x1. I mean, without the DQs, we're looking at a team that would have probably scored possibly either 80 or even 79 point. Just impressive. Coach Carol Smith Gilbert, you had a gracious speech and you showed great credit to your coaching staff. I just want to give you a round of applause because you've won now at USC and at Georgia, and in both performances, they were impressive. And Georgia has an incredible recruiting class coming in. So they're not going anywhere. Are they the new darling of women's track and field? I still think that Arkansas has to beat because they've won so many. But I do think Georgia is coming. And I think it's going to be hard to knock them off. They have a lot of talent returning. Even though they're going to have some really good talent move on, but they have a lot of talent returning. And they had some of their top tier talent not perform to the same level as they've had because they've been injured. So expect for Georgia to be back, possibly better next year than they were this year. And that is our recap. And it's been an amazing season. And I was just so impressed by the meet because the weather just did not, it was not great weather. Unfortunately, in Eugene, we've been dealing with that for the past few years. I hope that one day we go back to the University of Texas because that was a phenomenal meeting. It was really hot and warm, and performances were phenomenal. And I think you'll get that again. But shout out to shout out to all the athletes that competed this weekend who gave us such great performances and who let us know that the future of this sport is still bright, regardless of what has happened with the ruling from the court system about paying collegiate athletes. I still think that we're in for a treat when it comes to the future of the sport. I think it'll be time for us to give Division Two and Division Three more of attention. I think we are, especially here in this channel. I will be because I'm going to be wherever the collegiate athletes are. I just love college track and field as many of you do. And we were treated to a lot of great performances this season, and I look forward to an outstanding season in 2026. But there will be more. We'll also be doing a recap of the country national championships and see what collegiate athletes are going to be competing at the world championships later this year. So thank you for listening and supporting me. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. We got more videos coming in the future. And please rest in the glow of what a great meet